Hello and welcome back to ScotlandShop on the Sofa. I'm Carrie.
And I'm Lauren, and we hope you have been enjoying the summer so far. We've been having a great time over July delving into all things Clan Leslie, and we can't wait to share what we've learned with you.
This ancient family supposedly originated with a Hungarian nobleman named Bartolf, who arrived in Scotland in 1067 as part of Edgar the Atheling's entourage. Edgar's sister Margaret later married King Malcolm III, a connection that proved to be highly profitable for Bartolf.
Malcolm was impressed by the Bartolf's great intellect and bravery, and consequently appointed him Governor of Edinburgh Castle, and awarded him lands in Fife, Angus, the Mearns and Aberdeenshire.
Clan Leslie exercised great influence over these territories, acquiring a number of grand castles.
Balquhain Castle now stands in ruin as a scheduled monument in Aberdeenshire, 4 kilometres west of Inverurie, but it was once a striking stronghold of Clan Leslie.
It was built in the 14th century and controlled by the Leslie family from 1340. The clan were very proud of Balquhain, and it took great efforts to upkeep it, focusing on both defensive measures and style. In 1441, John Leslie of Balquhain even commissioned 4 masons, David Hargat, David Dunn, Robert Massoon and Gilbert Massoon, to complete construction improvements on the castle.
The remains today give us some idea of what the layout would have been. It seems that Balquhain boasted a tower which featured a quadrangular crenellated design and stone partition dividing the basement into 2 vaulted chambers. The northeast wall seems to have included a large chimney and a mural staircase.
Sadly, 1526 brought Balquhain a dose of bad fortune, and it fell foul of one particularly persistent enemy. Clan Forbes, a rival family, besieged the site, causing substantial damage. Luckily, however, the Leslies were not to be defeated so easily, and resiliently rebuilt the castle with further fortifications, including additional buildings enclosed within a defensive barnkin or courtyard.
This was characteristic of the most sophisticated architectural style at the time, and Balquhain attracted some equally sophisticated guests. Mary Queen of Scots is thought to have stayed at the castle in 1562, using it as a temporary residence before the Battle of Crieff.
Balquhain stayed in Clan Leslie's possession until around 1694, when Count Patrick Leslie moved to the more modern and luxurious home of Fetternear Palace.
Balquhain was eventually burned down by the forces of Prince William, Duke of Cumberland, in 1746 during the Jacobite uprising, and the ruins were left to the mercy of the elements.
It remains a fascinating historical landmark today, reflecting the turbulent history of Clan Leslie and their foes.
Next, it only makes sense to explore the place that drew the Leslies away from Balquhain with the promise of more style, prestige and comfort.
Fetternear Palace, sometimes also known as Fetternear Bishop's Palace, is located near Kenmare in Aberdeenshire.
It is now an archaeological site, but it was once one of the main residences of the medieval bishops of Aberdeen, and later a home of Clan Leslie.
It was built on the picturesque sloping ground above the Marshes Burn, near its intersection with the River Don.
The lands of Fetternear belonged to the church from as early as the 12th century. In 1157, Pope Adrian IV confirmed that the territories belonged to Edward, Bishop of Aberdeen, while in 1242, King Alexander II of Scotland gifted the lands to Ralph, Bishop of Aberdeen.
Clan Leslie came into possession of Fetternear in the 16th century following the Scottish Reformation. In around 1566, William Gordon, Bishop of Aberdeen, granted the palace and its lands to William Leslie, the 9th Baron of Balquhain, to thank him for protecting Aberdeen Cathedral from the Reformers. This was confirmed by a charter in 1602, and his son John Leslie later received confirmation of ownership from King James VI and was appointed Constable of the Bishopric of Aberdeen.
Clan Leslie remained in Fetternear for centuries, making it one of their primary holdings, until a terrible fire tragically destroyed the palace in 1919. The alarm was raised by Lieutenant Colonel Charles Leslie, who noticed smoke under his bedroom door at 5 a.m. on the 19th of December. Luckily, the family and servants were able to escape by jumping from their windows, but many historic Leslie paintings and artefacts were sadly lost.
Today it stands in ruins and is fenced off from the public due to its precarious state, but you can still spot a few fascinating features from the other side of the fence, including, most excitingly for us, Patrick Leslie's coat of arms carved in stone above the front entrance.
While these ruins have a certain charm, we were pleased to find out that not all of Clan Leslie's castles stand abandoned.
Leslie Castle is located on land once known as Leslie, the first territory granted to the clan by King Malcolm III all the way back in the 11th century. The area is now known as Inch and is located near the village of Loudon, about 45 kilometres northwest of Aberdeen.
The original castle was most likely a traditional wooden moat and bailey structure until it was replaced by a stone fortress. It was expanded in 1661 by William Forbes of Monmouth, whose father had acquired the Leslie barony through marriage.
The castle was redesigned in an L-plan layout and featured a unique staircase within its square tower, which incorporated a central column with spaces to hold lamps, cleverly allowing for light throughout the stairwell. The building was 3 stories high with a garret, a vaulted basement and a drawbridge with a gatehouse.
These features make Leslie Castle a fascinating snapshot into architectural history, as it was one of the last fortified houses built in Scotland.
In 1670, the castle passed on to the lease of Lee Hall, and by 1820 it had been abandoned completely and left to fall into ruin. It lost its roof and quickly became uninhabitable.
Luckily, this was not the end for the Leslie Castle, nor for Clan Leslie's ties to the grand building.
In 1980, the architect David Carnegie Leslie purchased the castle and spent nearly a whole decade carefully restoring it using stone from derelict cottages on a nearby estate.
In 1989, the restoration was finally complete, and Leslie Castle was opened as a hotel. Since 2018, David and his wife Leslie have run it as a guest house, offering visitors a unique experience of staying in a historic Scottish castle. They say that it is perfect for dreamers, history buffs and for travellers wishing to explore Scottish food and culture.
Clan Leslie is one of the most multi-talented clans we've come across so far. It's been a treat to explore just a few of their greatest achievements in a wide range of fields.
One of which was the life and career of an eccentric Scottish scientist.
Sir John Leslie was born in Fife in 1766 to Robert Leslie, a joiner and cabinet maker, and his wife, Anne Carstairs. He impressed his parents and tutors with his natural aptitude for maths and was encouraged to matriculate at the University of St Andrews at just 13 years old.
He graduated in 1784 before going on to study divinity at the University of Edinburgh.
Over the next decade, he dedicated himself to the field of science, publishing various papers in Nicholson's Philosophical Journal. His career gained traction in 1804 when he published an experimental inquiry into the nature and propagation of heat. This was a groundbreaking work for which he was awarded the prestigious Rumford Medal of the Royal Society of London.
The following year, he conducted one of his most famous experiments using a cube filled with boiling water to show how the emissions of thermal radiation varies across different surfaces. This apparatus came to be known as the Leslie Cube and is still used in physics education today.
In 1805, he was appointed as Professor of Mathematics at the University of Edinburgh and published a number of texts over the course of his tenure, including 2 volumes of A Course in Mathematics.
In 1810, he performed another groundbreaking experiment, managing to freeze water using an air pump, becoming the first person to create artificial ice. In 1813, he published a report on this discovery called A Short Account of Experiments and Instruments Depending on the Relation of Air to Heat and Moisture.
Over the following decade, he continued to work prolifically, releasing the famous and best-selling book, The Philosophy of Arithmetic, in 1820. He also made a name for himself as a rather unconventional figure in his later life, even dyeing his hair purple.
Leslie was knighted in 1832 for his excellent contributions to science. He passed away later that year, but his work still has a great impact today, having laid the foundations for modern studies of heat transfer and thermodynamics. It's certainly that he has impacted and inspired countless scientists.
That brings us to the end of this month's episode, but you can find much more Clan Leslie content over on our clan page.
Head over to our website to learn about the clan's most fearsome battles, noble chief and intricate crest designs, as well as to browse the Leslie Tartans that we have. There are 7 variations available, each featuring a different range of colour and tone. One of the Leslie Tartans, Leslie being modern, was even worn by the British Army Regiment, King's Own Scottish Borderers, as it was the family tartan of the Earl of Latham. Owning your clan's tartan is the perfect way to connect with both your heritage and your fellow clan members, and we have plenty of products to choose from.
We'd like to take a minute to share some new and exciting news with you. We've been creating these on the sofa videos for a few years now, and as much as we love them, it's time for a change. As of next month, we will be creating a few shorter videos that help capture the history, heritage, and love for the clan. Make sure you're subscribed to our channel to see some new content.
You can also follow our TikTok, Instagram and Facebook to stay up to date with all clan content. Thank you as always for all your comments, messages and support.